Hello, everyone, and welcome to Metuchen the Past, episode 3 on our fourth take. I am James Farley, and I'm here again with my beautiful wife, Ara Farley. Ara, welcome back.
Thank you.
This has been it's been tough trying to get this episode off the ground, both now and over the past couple weeks. We've had bone breaks,
Fever,
fevers, broken spirits.
Just, anything that parents of four can deal with, we've been dealing with, that is for sure. But we are ready to get this on the road, and we are doing the early days of the Forum Theater, part 2, the story of Metuchen.
Yeah, well, it was last time we left you on a cliffhanger. And for those who remember, we were talking about the Forum Theater, the creation of James Forgione and Henry Rumler. And what they were doing is they were creating a movie about the town of Metuchen called, as Ara said, The Story of Metuchen. So let's get back in our time machine, and we're going to go all the way back to January 11th, 1929. Now, according to the Metuchen Recorder, during this time, the Forum Theater announced that they were going to be presenting a photo play. It's pretty old school.
Yeah.
A photo play called.
You should know what those are, though. You're pretty old.
I remember this day, and I remember trying to get tickets, and it just didn't go over well. No, I don't really remember it. But so anyway, the story of Metuchen. So the film was created due to an initiative by the recently formed Rotary Club of Metuchen. So then it was recent. Now it's almost 100 years old. They sponsored the picture. The goal of the film was to highlight the town's principal groups, their organizations, and their landmarks. The story of Metuchen would also serve as an advertisement for Metuchen with the goal of encouraging people to buy homes in the area.
That is definitely not a problem now.
No, they keep building, they keep coming. I think the average home in Metuchen, currently goes for $2.9 billion. And that's just for a tent on a lawn. That's not even.
No. But least amount is probably $500,000 at least, and the most expensive is almost $2 million.
Yeah, so maybe I overshot my billion a little bit, but yeah, it definitely is up there. So the story of Metuchen was produced by Supreme Productions Company of Red Bank, which had made similar film about Rawway previously. The president of the company, Daniel Dorn, acted as the producer of the film, and he supervised all the work of the film. So Daniel Dorn, in a credit to Metuchen, similar to the people today, he gave major props to the people of Metuchen after finishing filming. After filming this gem, this forgotten classic, he said that he had never worked in a town or a city that had more friendly people, and he really enjoyed working in the borough of Metuchen. So who wouldn't enjoy working in the borough of Metuchen?
Oh, absolutely. It still, I would say, is one of the most friendliest places to come and walk down the street.
It really is, and definitely one of the most peaceful, unless you live with two bowling ball boys who you may hear in the background who I just heard. So, but we've cut a couple times today, so we're going to go through no matter what. So
sorry,
you might hear a little static, but that's life in this big small town, So anyway, aside from highlighting Metuchen, the film, The Story of Metuchen, has a romantic plot, because why not? The actors, Miss Jean Humphreys and Charlie Letson, played the lead roles. So Jean Humphreys was cast as Jean, and Charlie Humphreys was cast as
Charlie.
Exactly. They didn't get too creative with the names, obviously, here. Also featured in the film was the legendary Mayor Hilltop. If you'll remember from the last episode, he actually had a radio show in Metuchen for a little while. There's also members of Metuchen's Council, the Metuchen's Women's Club, the police department, school children, churches, public buildings, Boy and Girl Scouts, the Rotary Club, of course, and the many beautiful scenes around the town of Metuchen, including Tommy's Pond, which I don't talk about too often, but it was mentioned, it was shown in the very beginning, and I was like, oh yeah, it still looks the same. So Tommy's Pond, it escaped the progress of the town, because it still looks as it did in 1929. Anyway, merchants across Metuchen offered to have their businesses filmed in this movie because it was a big deal at the time. So they wanted to be shown in the story of Metuchen. And merchants selected in the film decided that they were going to give away prizes for each night that the film was shown. The film, or the way you win the prize, is by looking at your movie ticket. And then based on the number on your movie ticket, you were able to win a prize if that number was called by the store that's sponsoring and featuring in the film.
Why don't they do that anymore?
I
I win
don't.
a prize every time. I don't go to movies
Yeah,
enough. Who am I kidding?
Blame Netflix and the Hulu and because no one ever goes to the movies. Yeah, and that's,
Now you're it's sounding old. The Netflix, the Hulu, the HBO Max. Anyway,
back in my day, we had a
for
Blockbuster.
Some of the stores were.
Yes. So, little side note coming up soon: Blockbuster, Video Bazaar. We're going to be covering those. So anyway, but as Ara said, so some of the stores offering prizes for this event was Lee's Hardware, which was giving away a handsome combination of a Luminex cooking set, as well as pie pan. So if you want to.
Pie.
I love a good pie, especially if it comes from Lee's Hardware. Not that they are around, but it sounds pretty good. And they were a big name in Metuchen at the time. The Lease Real Estate Office, who I think they're related to Lease Hardware.
Cash prizes.
Cash prizes. They were going to give away cash prizes. How much? I do not know. There was also Otto's Diner, which was a trolley car located where Friendly's currently is now. So they offered to give away free meals. There's other prizes that were going to be announced that came from places like the Metuchen Contracting Company, the Metuchen Coal Company, the Davis Florists, and Lorraine Oil Company. What could the coal and oil company give away as a prize that would be like equated? Like, here's some coal for going to see the movie.
Probably. I would guess it was a cash prize too.
I guess. Yeah. I guess it doesn't make sense. I mean, I don't even know. There's an interesting thing about coal coming up for all you coal enthusiasts. Coming up later in this, I have a little bit of background, a little bit of down low information. So anyway. As I stated, the filming for the film, The Story of Metuchen, began around January 11th, 1929. And it was announced initially that the show was going to be shown at the Forum Theater on February 4th, 5th, and 6th. Now, February 3rd, it announced that there was going to be a slight delay in those plans because the leads, Mr. Letson and Miss Humphreys, were apparently nearly frozen to death while filming one of the scenes of the movie. And the scene in question is one that we're going to talk about.
Okay, I was like, how did that happen? So I was interested.
It's somewhat controversial scene too. And, the way that I describe it, it was definitely controversial. That I should also note that in 1929, the weather, it was unseasonably cold. So it's not surprising that they did have a problem due to the cold because it was freezing there. And that also caused problems with a fire that we're going to discuss coming up soon.
Okay.
So with the delays, now keep in mind, though, they started filming January 11th. And even with the delays, February 25th and 26th, which was a Monday and a Tuesday, it debuted at the Forum. So really it was like a month, if that.
Definitely, I think because it was more localized, that's for sure. Because if you now, it takes like almost years for films to be made, but CGI and all that. Anyway,
no, for sure.
So.
No, that is okay. That is okay. And the thing is, not a lot went into the film. There definitely wasn't much of a script, no special effects, and the story would have to be improved to be considered garbage. No offense to the movie, but it is what it is. It was,
We'll talk about that soon.
It was 1929. What are you going to get? So the first two nights of the film. So anyway, back up just a minute. It debuted on February 25th and 26th. And it also played the following Monday and Tuesday, which were March 4th and 5th. So for the first two nights, it was actually pretty cool. This guy by the name of Phil Ruger, he was the head of the Lorraine Oil Company. He had a whole orchestra play music for the people that were coming in to see.
That's really neat.
That is really cool, right? I would, if there was a full orchestra playing, I don't know if I'd sit through this movie again, but I would consider it for at least a minute or two. So he had this orchestra going, and before we break down this movie, I just wanted to sincerely, this is not a joke, sincerely thank the Metuchen Media, the Metuchen-Edison Historical Society, and Gwen Roseman. All of them were critical in preserving this movie and putting it on YouTube. And that's where almost all of the information for this episode came from. So I thank them, and we're also going to provide a link because without them, this wouldn't be possible. So thank you very much for that. And now we are going to break down the 1929 classic, depending on your definition of classic, the story of Metuchen.
Keep your day job.
So the whole film ragtime piano plays as the film is going on. So think the movie The Sting, like do 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 do. It's exactly as you would picture it in a 1929 movie.
Okay.
So the film starts out with Charlie arriving in Metuchen, and he's directed to the president of the Rotary Club. I don't know, I guess they're acting like the main ambassador of the town. Directed to the president of the Rotary Club by a police officer who tells him he's going to show him why Metuchen is a fine place to live. So Charlie is introduced by the president to the president's own niece, Jean. So the love is kind of in the air already.
Okay.
All three of them get into a car and drive off for some reason. I don't know. It's kind of, to just introduce him right away to his niece. He knows nothing about this guy from what I've seen, but whatever. They get in a car, they all drive away. We are told during this brief meeting between Charlie and Jean that this was love at first sight. Now, despite, I don't think they looked at each other in this scene. I don't think they talked, but it was love at first sight. It must have been a heck of a car ride. What do you think of this?
I have no words.
I don't.
I don't.
As someone who still hopes to find his true loved one,
I'm
just saying, I believe in it. And if I could go on a magical car ride like that, I wouldn't.
This is why he had to propose twice.
Cut the tape. Cut the tape. I
love you.
Yeah, no, that is true. That's a story for another day. Today we're talking about the story.
We're not going to share.
A private story that will never be told again. No, so today we're talking about, again, this story. So back to the story. Love at first sight. And so the three, the president, Charlie and Jean, they go back presumably to the president's house where Jean is playing the piano, and Charlie, without any dialogue, without any buildup, comes up to her and just kisses her.
I'm sorry. I would just punch you in the face or slap you across the face or kick you where it counts. Who the heck just goes up and kisses somebody that they don't know?
I know. And wait, is the crowd supposed to be oh, good for them? They didn't even speak. So I don't know. It's a very. And then you would think maybe the chemistry changes throughout the film. No, it really doesn't. And it makes it a worse film than it had to be, and it already wasn't going to be good. But so kisses are on the piano. The couple is then, here's the controversial scene where I believe they froze, or they almost froze, because it gets pretty snowy. The couple is shown throwing snowballs at each other in Memorial Park, present-day Memorial Park. At one point, the woman falls. This is so bizarre. The woman falls while they're having this playful snow fight. Charlie gets right next to her on the ground, takes snow, and shovels it into her face, like borderline Dumb and Dumber style. Do you remember that scene in Dumb and Dumber?
Yes, I do. I would kill you.
Yeah, where Harry tackles Swanson, and he takes the snow and and he gets up right at fight. It was It was along those lines. So where's
no, and that's not romantic love story.
No,
either. You completely missed the point in that one. You're gonna put. I hate winter. I do. I don't like snow.
No.
So if you're gonna put snow on me, you're done. I'm not talking to you. But this isn't even a talking film. So anyway.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, for sure, and especially on a date when you're still in that courting phase to slam snow in a woman's face when she's on the ground. Probably not the best way to go, but I had to propose twice. So who am I to judge about how relationships work? So, So after this Dumb and Dumber style snow fight, there's an advertisement for Monarch paint, and it's said to have painted Borough Hall. So they show a picture of Borough Hall, which still looks decently similar to today's Borough Hall. And one thing, I looked at a label for Monarch paint because I was just curious, what was actually in it. And one of the interesting things from the label is it advertises 100% pure paint with pure white lead. So if you wanted nice pure lead paint back in the day, Monarch was the way to go.
Ugh.
I always knew, so I know lead is poisonous, but I was curious as to like exactly what it could do to you. So for kids, it could be pretty bad. It can cause fatigue. It can make you really tired. It can make you irritable. It can make you have behavioral changes. It can make you lose your appetite. You could vomit. You could have abdominal pain. And similar for adults, actually. For adults, you could have difficulty with Gesundheit.
Sorry.
It is okay. It is allergy. I think.
Well, so it's definitely allergy season. But anyway, so if you're ever wondering why your doctor asks if you live in a house by a certain date, that is why.
Yeah, there you go. And so for adults, there was also something I mentioned about memory, and again, the same thing: fatigue, mood changes, irritability, difficulties. I might have been poisoned by lead at some point, and the more
I just think you're old.
The more I read, I was like, I was like, what is this? I was like, I was like, irritable. I'm not irritable. How could you say that? And yeah, I'm irritable. So maybe I was poisoned by lead paint. So after that, without any attempt at a plot transition, the film boasts that the school system is the best in the state. Now, in 1929, I don't know how many school systems there were, but it's amongst the best in New Jersey, we'll say. School administrators and teachers are shown chatting, smiling in front of Franklin School, which is modern-day Franklin Square, where there's a bunch of houses over there and condos. Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's kind of cool over there. Right over in that section over there. Actually, I need to double check. Franklin Square, it's right around that area. The police department and the chief are filmed staring eerily into the camera for like an extended period of time, which
that's creepy.
There were definitely creepy moments in this. And one person says something and you can't really understand because there's no sound. And then it goes to the Metuchen post office, followed by what I really love, which is the greatest thing ever. Clips of the Metuchen Horsemen. That's right, the Metuchen Horsemen. So this group, I tried to find more information on this group. Apparently, they used to meet over by Norris Ave, Mason Drive, Clive Street, over in that area over there in Metuchen. And what they would do is they would get together, and from what I could see and from what was in the movie, they would ride around on horses. Now, in the movie era, these horsemen are shown doing a variety of tricks that they have no business attempting. It got pretty ugly. First of all, one of the members is hanging their whole body off from one side of the moving horse and jumping back. Now, I think the first person that does it does an okay job. The second person tries this, and it doesn't go so well.
What happened?
They're unable to get back onto the horse, and instead they get dragged. And as the film cuts out, they're sprinting, and it looks like they're about to be dragged for their life.
Oh my gosh!
I'm not even joking. Then a man that they call Harry Powell, and I guess he was okay because they made a joke about this in the film. A man by the name of Harry Powell actually gets thrown off a horse when the horse like raises its like front hooves. Gets thrown off the horse. Falls backward, and then the horse actually falls on top of him. So
he did not break anything.
I don't know. It was really like it was a bad scene. It was not good.
On a separate note, I will say if you're looking to see with one of the on Graham Ave in Metuchen, there's a beautiful house that almost has like a stepping place if you did have a horse or if you were in one of the carriages. It's a historic house.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's so beautiful to see it. So if you're ever looking for something that sticks out, you would see it. It's gorgeous. It's right by the footbridge too.
Oh, that is really cool.
I walk around town.
Yeah, I guess I need to walk around town a little bit more too. That sounds pretty fascinating, actually. Very, very cool. All right, after this attempted, and there's our good son Johnny walking through. After this attempted display of horse tricks were shown in the newspaper, the printing press that actually prints where we got a lot of information for these episodes thus far, the Metuchen Recorder. We also
again,
see,
thank you to the Metuchen-Edison Historical Society for putting these online so we were able to find them.
yes, for sure. For sure. It was very, very cool. We then have Mayor Hilltop and the council shown writing at their desks, looking uncomfortably at the camera. So it's clear they camera's a new thing. Not everyone's comfortable on camera. And so they definitely looked the part in that picture. Then a gentleman is shown smoking a cigarette and explained that he just joined the best fire department in the state. And
what do you think about that?
What do you?
No,
Johnny disagrees. He says the fire department is not the best in the state. So
it's fine.
I don't know. I'm going to say, so today, currently, the Metuchen Fire Department, I know some of the firefighters, they're fantastic. In
Love
fact,
you guys.
Yes, they are awesome. In fact,
ladies.
The lieutenant is arguably the world's strongest man. A man by the name of DJ. He squats 2,000 pounds, and that's if he's only using one leg. If he uses both legs, it's I can't even calculate it. We had to send it to NASA to try to get a calculation on it because he's too strong. So modern fire department, excellent. The fire department of 1929, perhaps not so excellent. So the fire department is shown by Station Place, and they are alerted via telegraph, they're alerted via telegraph that there is a fire. So smoke is shown coming out of a single house window. Now, some quick notes about this house. I found this interesting.
I do like this part of it. I like it. It's bad, but I like the coincidences, I guess, that come with it, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. The turn of events, the irony.
The irony. That's what I wanted to say, yes.
I like it. So, yeah, exactly. Quick notes about this. So the house that was used for this scene was from a real fire that occurred just a few days after they started filming the story of Metuchen, and that being Monday, January 14th, 1929. It was the home of Mr. and Mrs. Edward Burroughs, and it was located at the corner of Rector Street and Middlesex Avenue. So we still know where that is today. It's a nice little area over by the Metuchen Inn, if you've ever seen it over there. Yeah, it's a really nice area. So apparently Mrs. Burroughs discovered a small fire on the roof and called the fire department. However, it took not one, not two, but three. That's right, 3 alarms to bring on a sufficient number of firefighters to control the fire. Now, by the time they had enough help to put this fire out, there was nothing that could be done to save the house. Should also be noted that the water, again, we spoke about the winter being unseasonably cold that year.
Oh, they couldn't even get it out.
They couldn't, yeah, because so what happened was the fire they were going to use to put out the fire had iced over. So it really stopped their ability or slowed it down significantly, their ability to put out the fire.
Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy. So that the house was almost completely destroyed. The damage totaled about $10,000, which in 1920 money converted to today, it would have been about $184,564.
Let's place that to 200,000.
About 200,000. So, from what I read, the Burroughs weren't really hurting for money, and I think they built a nice new place. So it wasn't the end of the world. An overheated chimney was thought to be the cause of this fire. And so the fire department asked if they could use, or the filmmakers rather asked if they could use this house to film the fire department and putting out a fire. To recreate this fire, harmless smoke bombs were used to film the action scene of the action scene of the movie.
Use the house that they were unable to save. Yeah. As their demonstration of being a successful fire department.
Absolutely. And it goes into a scene where they kind of negate or neglect rather their responsibilities as firefighters, and this guy almost loses his life saving this girl. But we're gonna get to that now. What's it called? So for the filming of this, I just also want to add that members of the community were invited to witness the hero of the film, Charlie, who is scripted to rescue Jean from the burning building while the Metuchen Fire Department tries to put it out. Now, before the fire, we see the firefighters of Eagle Hook and Ladder, which is located on 398 Main Street, and Washington Hose, which is located on 505 Middlesex Avenue. So they're shown running with urgency to the respective stations. And this was actually pretty cool because it shows the fire department's hitting the streets, and the firefighters are clearly still getting dressed as they're like jumping on the fire truck. So it was actually that part was actually kind of cool. And there's just I don't even know the exact number, but there's a bunch of firefighters hanging off each end. So it was cool. Like they like really.
So they had 2 stations houses, and right now we only have 1.
Yes, yeah. I'd have to look more into. I believe they combine them.
Okay.
I don't want to misspeak on this. So if firefighters or anyone listening that's like that's not true, I apologize. We'll address that again.
I do know that they are building a new place though.
Oh, they are for the firefighters
and the EMT. Yeah.
Wow.
Anyway.
Very, very cool. Yeah. Oh yeah, the EMT place. They definitely need a new one. Well, because
they tore it down.
At the time of this recording, it doesn't exist. So yeah, they definitely need one. So the film, I thought it was kind of cool, funny, like so old school, refers to the firefighters as smoke eaters, as in, here come the smoke eaters, which if you call someone a smoke eater today, it means you're an air purifier, which is not a human thing. So it doesn't make any sense. However, back then, that's what they called. There's like a slang term for firefighters. So they called them the smoke eaters. So thank you to the smoke eaters of the 20s for trying to keep Metuchen safe from fires, because they didn't do a great job. So as the 2 departments meet up and they start to equip their hoses to put out the house fire, Jean, the female lead, who not exactly Meryl Streep in this role, casually, and I mean casually, walks up to and stands in front of the window that smoke is pouring out of. She is chilling. She's just chilling there. Like she
more romantically walked over to the window, I guess.
I know it more like indifferent nonchalance. If I've walked up to the window with the same urgency in the morning when I first woke up with like a cup of coffee or Bang energy drink and like looked out the window. Sponsors, somebody sponsor us for something. No, but it's just really odd. She has no expression on her face, not nervous, not happy, just kind of like looking around. It's actually very odd. Mm-hmm. And also she's standing there, smoke's pouring out everywhere. And it's like, is she walking right through the fire? Like it looked, because she like walked right through it. So I don't know what's going on. The film is very confused at that point. A ladder is put up to the window by the fire department, who also are not moving with much urgency on the ground below. And Charlie, our hero of the story, runs under the seat and attempts to go up it. Now, the fire department, one guy in particular, I think there's 3 firefighters. One of them in particular is like, he stopped right there. And he says, you can't go up there. It's certain death to go up there. Okay, granted, they stopped him, but they're not making any attempt to go up themselves. And they put up the ladder. So did they put up the ladder and they're just kind of like, we're not, we thought about it, but we're not going to go up this ladder that we put up. Like it's certain death. And
we know how movies work. So
I know, but they literally didn't make an attempt. They didn't even make a slight attempt.
Well, did Charlie try to go back up?
Well, that's I'm glad you asked. So after Charlie stopped, he says, I must have her. I love her.
Again, they barely talk.
They haven't talked at this point, really. The fire department does nothing to save her. The woman emotionlessly. Wow, I'm a speech therapist. That's actually what I get paid for. So you wouldn't know it from the way I pronounce some of these words. But she yells help. An audible scream is heard, like that's awkwardly phased over the actual movie. And the lead actress passes out. Again, we're not talking Meryl Streep here. We're talking, I can't even compare to anyone. Literally lays down like somebody taking like a nap on a Sunday. Like I don't even know about a baby. Maybe like me on a Saturday. I don't know. It's very chill and very calm. So it was kind of crazy. So no choking, full calm, completely passes out in the windowsill, using it as like a pillow. So Charlie's then shown pushing past 4 firefighters who are blocking him and working so hard to stop him from going up the ladder. Only one of them actually makes any attempt to stop him. The amount of effort exerted by this firefighter is just a hair more than my effort to do household laundry in my house, which is not a lot.
0.
Sometimes, just like he kind of tried to stop him, I kind of tried to do my share of the laundry. Anyway, the firefighter half-heartedly grabs Charlie by the coat. Charlie awkwardly slips out of it, and it prompts the fire to explain, well, I'll be... Now, I'm going to assume he was saying, I'll be Jackson. That's my son right there.
If you're watching.
Our son, if you're watching. How are you, Jackson? Now he says it's kind of bleeped out, so it's D dash 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 D. So I'll be, I guess, darned is what he said. There's actually a couple words you could put in for that, but
since we have a 5-year-old,
since we have a 5-year-old, I changed that joke. I called it audible like Peyton Manning on the line. I saw the defense and I said, no, we're doing a different play. So that script got changed right there. But anyway, Charlie's then seen carrying an unconscious Jean down the ladder over his shoulder with no visualization as to how she got out of the window. After being saved, the female, in classic 1920s cliche form, says, "My hero," before kissing Charlie at the bottom of the ladder. After this harrowing experience, what do you think Charlie does next with this Jean?
Probably goes to kiss her again because he has no boundaries.
He doesn't have boundaries, but what do you think he's going to ask her? They've been through all.
Will you marry me?
Yes, and they've been through so much, and so naturally that's the progression. And what do you think is her response?
Of course, this could be yes, and I would say a couple other words.
So we don't actually know. So he proposes, but she doesn't respond.
But they just get married. It's just like
they just stare at each other. She doesn't seem happy. She doesn't seem angry. It's just an awkward stare, and there's no dialogue written to say, "Oh, I do," or "You're the love of my life." Nothing. It's an awkward stare. Is it a foreshadowing of things to come in this relationship? Yes, it is. It is a foreshadowing, which is another weird thing to splice into this very odd movie because it's very uncalled for, this plot, but whatever. This is the direction they went in. So, all right. So next it says there's wedding bells. Again, she never actually says yes or I do. And then it says presented by Metuchen Real Estate, where we see a wedding book, which when opened has a picture of the house inside. So I guess that's the house they bought. That's what they're intending.
Brought.
Yes, absolutely. So I guess that's the one they were. It's implied that they bought, but I don't really know. The movie shows Raymond Lease again. Again, he was one of the big proponents of this film, who's a realtor who built and remodeled a number of businesses in Metuchen. It's shown with him working in his office, and it also shows a bunch of images of houses and things that he built. Some of these things are kind of cool, actually. Like it shows Main Street in different areas, in the past, which is actually kind of cool to look at. We should put up some pictures on that. So I guess naturally it's implied that Mr. Lee sells Charlie and Jean their first love nest, as the movie coined it, even though she never agreed to marry him again. So that's a very weird evolution.
Anyway,
I'm getting hooked on some details. The couple shown entering the Metuchen Inn, which is still there, and it actually still looks very similar to how it did in the movie, which is cool. Even the Metuchen Inn at one point burned down.
Yeah, there was a fire.
Yeah,
I do remember hearing that.
But it still looks it looks like you would recognize as a Metuchen Inn.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so they kept it. It's very pretty clean. Pretty similar, rather. I'm reading something about clean over here. All right, so the Metuchen Inn, we see Legion Post 65 and the Rotary Club are seen dining there. After dining at the Metuchen Inn, Charlie and Jean visit the Metuchen Model Bakery to order clean-made bread, noteworthy for its delicious crispy butter crust. That sounds really good. That advertisement worked. I kind of wanted to find this bakery, but now we have, what is the main bakery in town now? Do you know?
There's not like a main bakery. We have Pastry Lou, which is awesome.
Pastry Lou.
Angie's, which again is really good.
Yes.
More of a Dominican style.
Right next to the Forum, actually.
Yes, yeah. And then of course, Awesome Yo's with Yolanda.
Awesome Yo's. Awesome Yo's are the greatest.
Everything that's in town is great. I know Woodstack makes their own bread too and sells at the farmers market.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
So there's a lot of great places downtown. Those were the ones I could think of off the top of my head. Good
to know. So there's a lot of options in Metuchen, especially things are always up and coming around here. So it's an exciting time to be in the area. Then again, not to worry about plot transitions. The story of Metuchen shows a gentleman named Mr. Lawless. I think you have to be like, Lawless is the greatest like Western cowboy name I've ever heard, and they don't use that at all in this because it doesn't happen to that. But man, if your name's Lawless, you pretty much just have to be an outlaw.
Oh yeah,
like, you're basically your life is, or you could be someone selling cars because that's what he does.
you have to kind of be like to sell cars.
Yeah, you have to
a little shady. That's what I'm looking for.
You kind of have to be lawless to be a good car salesman. So no, absolutely. I think the name definitely does fit. So he offers or he shows the crowd the Essex Challenger, which is described as the darling of all cars, specifically for lady ownership. So I guess that excludes males. That just, I guess it wouldn't work for them back in the day. I don't know. It looked pretty good to me. They boast that it can reach speeds of up to 70 miles an hour. Ironic for a town where to this day you can't go over 25 without getting a ticket, especially on Woodbridge Ave. But sure, go 70 in 1929, I guess. So a well-dressed gentleman is shown opening up the door for a lady to get into her cab before going to the driver's seat to drive her. The driver also opens the door next to her to get out when they arrive at the destination. This was for an advertisement of Metuchen taxi cab, which actually looked really good. They made it look that the guy was dressed really nicely, nice uniform. We kind of lost that in our transportation. It's not as personable anymore.
You can walk everywhere too in this town, so it doesn't really matter.
You can, but you can't walk to the airport, Ara. What if you gotta go to the airport? You know,
take the train because now we have a train.
Oh yeah.
Well, this week we don't. There's a strike on the New Jersey Transit, but anyway.
Well, I'll tell you when there was no strikes in 1929. Actually,
that's probably a big lie.
It's probably a lot more strikes, actually, now I think about it. But anyway, so next comes an advertisement for Otto's Diner. Now, here's another controversial scene. So Otto's Diner, this advertisement might be much less received in 2025 than it was in 1929. So the caption for Otto's Diner, a very cool, as I said before. I was just reading this over his shoulder. Sorry if you're watching this and see my jaw drop. It's a trolley car diner that it looked really cool, actually. A trolley car diner that is in the place of where modern day Friendly's is. So if you want to know where it is, it's right over there on Middlesex Avenue, near Main Street. But what it says for the advertisement for Otto's, it says, I didn't write this. This is I wrote what came from the movie, but this is mine. It says, if your wife cannot cook.
No, it says, if your wife can't cook, don't scold her. Keep her as a pet and eat at Otto's Diner.
Yes, yeah, very good. That Ken is a typo.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's, if your wife can't cook, don't scold her. Keep her as a pet. And come eat at Otto's Diner. What does that even mean? like a goldfish, or think of like pet dog, gerbil, lapdog. You think that's what they're going for?
Probably somebody that will just you can pet and get. Anyway, I'm not gonna go into this anymore.
Hey, no, I'm not. I mean, Anyway, yeah, exactly. So don't eat at Otto's, and you can't anyway
because Friendly's is there.
Friendly's,
but you can have their wonderful ice cream that's there.
Yes, and if your wife can't cook, just keep her as a pet and go eat at Friendly's. Ah, I'm sorry, my bad. Friendly's, you did not endorse that statement. So seemingly swayed by the controversial advertising pitch of Otto's, we see the couple eating there. So they're seen eating their food, and they commented how excellent it was and how it was so clean. I don't know if they were going by clean eating as in back then. Like, I don't know. Like, was the food not dirty? Was it common to eat dirty food in 1920?
No, the cart itself was clean. Like
I thought wow. That's a moment.
And he has a doctorate, people.
I have a doctorate, obviously not in dining cars or eating food, but yeah.
So here it says that there was no transition, and then a sign flashes for the South End Radio and Battery Shop, the best radio in
Steinite. I'm not exactly sure what that is. Yeah.
there's a scene of a star getting a battery charge, followed by an advertisement for Wilbert's famous coal.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Where coal is screened, graded, and delivered to you, the consumer.
Yes. So, and actually, what was kind of cool, so that was made by Henry Rumler. He owned the coal place, which he was one of the people that opened the Forum Theater, created it. So I was curious. It's like, what does it mean to grade coal? Like that's kind of silly.
No idea.
Well, so it's kind of cool. So I looked it up. So it's coal's based on its coalification. And what does that mean? It's kind of like the grains that got made into coal, like the
What
natural.
does that mean, though?
I don't 100% know that part, but what I do know, and the main part is it also incorporates rank, and rank is a determination how much energy it will produce. So I guess the higher your rank, the better your grade. So I thought that was kind of cool.
You know what? Thinking back, that's probably how a lot of people like did their cooking and heated their homes. I didn't put the 2 and 2 together till now. That's why.
It is, yeah. I remember. Do you remember years back? I did the coal during COVID. I did the coal grill.
Oh, that was terrible! Absolutely terrible. I love my husband, but no. He burnt everything.
I don't exactly have a green thumb. No, not green thumb. Green spatula. I'm not a good cook, is what I'm trying to say. I don't know my way around a kitchen.
We don't do plants, so you don't have a green thumb either.
No, so I just have regular thumbs. Anyway, so moving on. So Rumler was behind, as I said, Wilbert's famous coal, which was located in present-day Olmeser Park, and he also owned H.A. Rumler's Plumbing and Heating. So Rumler, who was one of the people who the Forum was named after, was a plumbing contractor and a heating expert. So the couple's seen leaving Rumler's Plumbing and Heating shop. It said that he specialized in installing vacuum vapor heat, which was the traditional heat at that point in time. And then an advertisement was shown for Metuchen Contracting and Trucking Company, where it said that it was the only company that specialized in state, county, and municipal contracts. So trucks are seen leaving the construction site. Then Lease Hardware has a store advertisement again. Charlie's seeing the store looking at Monarch paint, our lovable lead-filled paint, which was excellent for my development and might explain some of my issues because apparently I was lead poisoned.
Now you're just dropped on your head.
I was dropped on my head, perhaps into a can of lead paint. I don't know. And frankly, I don't want to know. Or maybe I don't remember because of the lead paint. So then we talk about, yes? Do you want to add something to this? Illuminex paint?
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye? That doesn't tell us anything about this, or Monarch paint, rather.
Anyway.
So guys, we're almost done here, but here it is. After it shows an advertisement for Illuminex cooking utensils, which were given away to patrons at the Forum Theater who attended, if they won the contest and their ticket was drawn, who attended the showings of this gem. After this, we see a final scene of the movie where it shows our beloved couple, Charlie and Jean, on a couch. Now, in your head, start playing Jaws music, like things are about to not go great for this couple. Very weird choice of an ending for this movie. But anyway, Charlie and Jean are on a couch, and Charlie is angrily reading a newspaper as Jean looks on nervously. So he's like looking, they're like, and Jean is uncomfortably nervous. It's the only time in the movie she shows any sort of emotion. So Jean looks on nervously, and then all of a sudden, leave me alone, flashes across the screen, inferring that, I guess, Charlie's yelling at Jean. I guess that's what they were going for. Then the wife exclaims, "You are so cruel." She knocks his newspaper to the floor, and then she declares, "I'm going back with my mother." And that's how the movie ends. That is the ending of the movie there.
That's terrible. Like, that doesn't, like, yes, you're showing advertisements for, like, the places around town, but you're also showing, like, a breaking of like, this quote-unquote family structure that they were trying to build. And I'm very surprised she would knock the newspaper out of his hands, considering that he's so cruel. But anyway, like, all right. Anyway.
Yeah, I did. And it's just such an odd, like, there was never, like, why incorporate the love story? And there was nothing that led into the love story, and there was just nothing that would say, okay, it was going tough and like this is the way it ended, or maybe it was going tough and there was a resolution. This was so out of place and random. And worst of all, in a film with so many misplaced advertisements, this was a golden opportunity to put an advertisement for a lawyer in. And they did not put that advertisement.
Let's just remember, getting divorced in late 1920s, early 1930s was not okay.
No, but she apparently was on board for it, and so was he.
She just said she was going back to her mother. She didn't say we were getting a divorce.
So you think they were gonna stay married with her at her mom's?
I mean, she could have gone back for like 2 weeks.
I mean, it's possible.
Anyway,
anything's possible in the story of Metuchen in 1929, I suppose. So the story ends, and I was looking at the reviews for this movie. So the Metuchen Recorder on Friday, March 8th, reviewed it. So the review was very, very short. And all it said was that the show was very entertaining.
That's it. There's nothing else.
It didn't say much. It said that it drew big crowds. Again, nothing really about the movie. And then the most that it wrote about the movie is this. The president, at the beginning of the film, the president of the Rotary Club that they showed. So the president, or the person who played the president, was L.E. Riddle Jr. I'm not sure what L.E. stood for. He was portrayed as the president of the Rotary Club, but apparently he was not. So this article sought out to correct that mistake. They wanted to make it clear he has never been the president, and W.R. Hale, I wonder pertain to Hale Construction in Metuchen? Possibly, I don't know.
Probably.
Got to investigate that too. That'd be cool. So W.R. Hale, who succeeded Charles Prickett, was actually the president, but apparently he was just out of the area for an extended business trip in the West. So
which makes me think that somebody said something because they realized that the person was on a trip, and like they saw this very interesting and very entertaining movie. It was like, what just happened here? Like, what happened? What am I missing? Oh, that's why they haven't been around.
Yeah, I that's what I am. I think that's a pretty good theory. I really don't know. The whole thing was just very bizarre, and it was, even for the time, I know it was a relatively new technology back then with the movies, but the whole movie was it was a bit hard to figure out what they were going for. I guess just one big advertisement. And so it was pretty cool. We're going to talk about this in later episodes. They had other strategies that they were trying to use to increase the number of residents in Metuchen. One of those, for instance, we had an amateur baseball team here at one point. And the reason I found that is in researching the form actually had a charity night where they raised money so that the baseball team could buy uniforms. And so we're going to explore a little bit of that going forward.
Just so you know, that just for T-ball alone was almost $300. So our son did not do T-ball this year.
Yeah, maybe I don't know. Maybe we could start a fundraiser for our son to do T-ball next year. When with inflation, it will be
$600 at that point.
600, 6,000, something like that. Who knows? But guys, so there is so much more to explore with the forums. That's why we've only touched on the very beginning of it. It went through a lot of transitions, a lot of different things, and we are going to explore that a little bit more. I think next episode, however, we are going to look at something new. Possibly we're looking at the video stores of the 80s in Metuchen. So I think that might be next on our agenda.
But don't hold us to it. We don't know.
Don't hold us to it. We don't 100% know, but I wanted to look into that a little bit.
But it will not be about the forum right away.
Yeah, I don't. Not a little while for the forum, but we are going to come back to it. And we're going to do a more thorough history going into the modern times, and so there are some really cool things.
Yes.
Coming up on that, and
if there's anything that you guys want to hear about, please feel free to message us on Facebook, leave a comment on the YouTube video. I think the email is in the YouTube link for the not YouTube link on the Facebook page. You can always email. I take care of most of the background stuff, so please let me know. And if you see me in person, just let me know as well. Okay?
Yeah, absolutely. You can't email me really because I'm not big on the social media. If you want to communicate with me, you could start a fire outside and use a blanket, and I communicate with smoke signals. Morse code.
But
I go
remember,
back in the day.
please follow us on Spotify, follow us on YouTube, follow us on Facebook so that you can be in the loop on everything that's going on. And you'll get updates when new things get posted. I would definitely say like the YouTube, subscribe to it, and that way you can get updates right away.
Yes, absolutely. Yes,
He's been dying to say that, by the way.
He did it. That was the great. You came in the clutch right there. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, guys, be on the lookout for the next couple episodes that are coming out. We got some guests that are going to be coming on, so it should be exciting. And we'll definitely revisit a little bit more of the forum coming up over the next few months. Probably look for it around July. We'll get back to the forum. So without further ado, rather, I'm James Farley.
I'm Ara Farley.
And this was Metuchen the Past. See you later.